Now my friend Ray Ray is big into Dino Ranch, which means we gotta learn how to tie a lasso. And that means learning this character here, the Honda knot. We're gonna start by just folding down our working end, tucking it under the standing part, and back through to form an overhand knot. And we're going to come around behind that overhand knot on the side with the crossing and just tuck into this upper region here and pass behind the other two. That's our first overhand knot. Now we got a loop, but we also got a problem. This loop slides. So to be safe, we tie another overhand knot, just cross it over, tuck it in, and we slide that back open. Now we have our Honda. To turn this into a lasso, we simply take the other working end, tuck that through, and then we have a nice slipped loop on the Honda knot. This is the traditional American lasso. Now you may wonder, what's the deal with this? Why this convoluted knot when there are plenty of fixed loop knots that are well known, certainly were well known to cowboys, and are a little bit less of a hassle. You might think something like the perfection loop or the bowline would have been in order. But as best I can tell, obviously I'm not a cowboy, the reason that the Honda is preferred is because the Honda has a tendency to hold a rather open circular shape. So tuck this back through here. Because of the way this knot has this crossing coming into the loop, that's going to keep these two portions of the loop apart. So the loop doesn't want to close quite as much as a lot of other loop knots, and this was tied in very, very stiff cord. So it would have a tendency to hold itself open almost as a circle. And that's important, I'm told, because the cowboy wants to be able to control the size of their lasso. And in that stiff cordage, if need be, they could push back through to reopen the lasso with one hand while they're controlling a horse with the other. And that not having anything to collide with this and not having your loop want to collapse is really important to maintaining this open so you don't get friction. With something like the perfection knot and a lot of other fixed loop knots, it tends to want to form this tear shape because this collar is pinching the two parts of the loop together. So you're going to get friction if your rope is running there. And if you tie something like the bowline, which does want to stay more open, you have the problem of having this this working end sitting in the loop. And in fact, there is, presumably for the same reason, such a thing as a cowboy bowline. Oh gosh, how do you tie a cowboy bowline? I don't really tie it all that often, so I forget. The cowboy bowline goes this way in here. So, we have this variant, the cowboy bowline. We know that this is a weaker knot. This would be called a landlubber's sheet knot if this was tied as a bend. But it does have this same property. So we can presume that the cowboys were onto something, that they knew that it was desirable to keep that working end out and to have this sort of collar here that keeps your loop open as a circle. And the Honda has both of those properties straight out the gate. So let's see it one more time, perhaps here. So we cross it under. We finish up our overhand knot. Bring it back around through just this one portion over and then under. Tighten down that overhand knot. We just make another overhand knot over here for safety. Draw it up. There's our Honda loop. Nice circular profile. Tuck the end through to form our lasso. And we are ready for dinosaur ranching.